What is purpose? What does it mean to have a purpose? Kind of a daunting question for lots of people, I think, because it's quite hard to define what purpose is to everyone. I feel like most people have slightly different definitions of it. Some people, I guess, would define it as what we do, who we surround ourselves with, what we like, because I guess your purpose is what defines you to many people. And if you're around my age, say 19, 20, I think it's something you start to think about a lot more as you're going off to university or getting a job, and life is starting to chuck more curveballs at you. And I think it's quite easy to get wrapped up in the daunting feeling of, I guess, existentialism, feeling that if you don't find a purpose, that your life is then meaningless, and you can travel down a whole route of despair with that. But I guess to whoever watching this could be an advice video, or I don't know, we're just talking about it. Let me know in the comments if you have any thoughts about purpose and what it means to have purpose. But yeah, I guess let's just get into it. I think, like I said, it's quite scary for people our age, or my age at least, to think about it, or of any age, to think about this kind of question. And it's easy to feel like you're falling behind quite quickly if you don't have a purpose. But I think that's the kind of gift and curse of human consciousness, is that we're aware that some people feel they do have a purpose, and we're conscious enough to the point that the feeling that we don't have a purpose is a scary feeling, which is a good thing almost, because it means that people have drive to go and try and achieve the things they want to achieve. But when you look at the grand scheme of things, like this little dog here, he doesn't spend all day thinking about his purpose. He just likes to eat and run about. Same way that a bear in the middle of the woods isn't thinking about what its purpose is and what it should be doing with its life. All it thinks about is its next meal and protecting its children. And although I guess I'm similar to a bear in the sense that when I'm done with a meal, I'm often thinking about the next one already. It's not my whole life. And I think people look for meaning and purpose in lots of different things, in music, whether it's making music or just listening to it, finding other people that enjoy the same music as you and connecting with them. Education, people surround themselves and fill their lives up with books and academia, becoming smarter, to try and, I guess, expand their knowledge or get a job that they'd like to have. People find purpose in sport. Professional athletes, you always see that. I also think that gets pushed to kids quite a lot, team sports, because it's such a good way to meet people and make friends. And if you do go down that route and you become so absorbed in that sport and you want it to become your life, then it can all become quite intense quite quickly, which I think is why mental health in sports is also so important. But I'm digressing. Travel. People try and find themselves traveling the world, try and find a purpose that way. And also, I think one of the dangerous things that happens is when someone tries to find purpose or find meaning in someone else or through someone else, which I think I've struggled with before, which is the case that you might not be fully sure of yourself, or there might be some still lingering insecurities about your purpose, your life in general, how you look, how smart you are. And I think that oftentimes people try to fill that void with other people, if that makes sense. They go deep into relationships and connections with other people when they themselves aren't, I guess, fully whole, you could say. But then again, then you could go down the route of asking what is a fully whole person. I don't think people really know that. But I think what happens when you are chasing connection and purpose and meaning in other people is you often forget to really think about what makes you you. And I don't think anyone really knows that. I definitely don't. I don't know what makes me me. I know if I asked other people what they think made me me, they would probably just list off a few vague interests or physical characteristics. But getting really deep into it, I don't know what makes me the person I am, what gives me purpose. And I think lots of people feel the same. But although it is scary to think about, I think we should try to not get so wrapped up in thinking that you need a purpose, because whether or not you have a purpose or you feel you have a purpose, you're still here if you're watching this. You're still on earth, you're still living, you still have a life. Whether or not it's a very good one, or you've been blessed in certain ways or hindered in others, that's to be expected, but you're still here, you're alive. Chances are you have access to the internet if you're watching this, which means you're already better off than lots of people on the earth. And there are ways to make life a little less daunting and scary. So try not to get so wrapped up in thinking that you need a purpose. On the other hand, having something that drives you to get out of bed in the morning is a good thing. For me, that became the gym, fitness, eating right, because otherwise I think lots of people just find themselves falling down the rabbit holes of lying in bed every morning for 2 hours on their phone scrolling, which everyone does. I've done it many times, but we all know it's really not the best thing for us. And if you can find something that makes you get out of bed in the morning, makes you look forward to the day, I think that's the best starting point for having a purpose. Not to say that my whole purpose became the gym and fitness, that's obviously not what I'm saying, but something that just helps you get out of bed in the morning, I think is a good starting point. Because I think life is kind of one long journey of looking for purpose, and then by the time you think you found it, or at least come close to finding it, you're already looking back at the whole life that you've lived. And I, for one, am terrified of getting old and the consequences that come with that, health-wise, movement-wise, brain, in terms of your mental health as well, memory, all that stuff is very scary to me. It's probably my biggest fear. But I think if you see videos of people that go to nursing homes or anywhere, or they ask elderly people on the street what they wish they'd done, most of the replies are them saying they wish they'd done more, spoken to more people, done more things, live life to the fullest. And I think if you do that, if you live life to the fullest, talk to as many people as you can, move as much as possible. That's one thing I'll always advocate for, just move however you can. I think that's also an Anthony Bourdain, I don't know how to pronounce his name, that's the chef, a quote of his, move wherever you can, as far as you can. I think that's a very good motto, or not motto, but a very good quote to live by. I think you'd find it very difficult to not feel fulfilled or not feel that you have a purpose if you are going out and doing as much as you can and making people happy, including yourself, because if you're not happy with yourself, you'll probably struggle to make other people happy. But it's a tricky dilemma, because in making other people happy, I think that's often when I find myself most happy. But you will also, the majority of people you encounter in your life will probably be selfish. And that sounds harsh when I say it out loud, but most of the time people are thinking about the hundreds of things that they have on their plate already. And they're really not that worried about other people every single moment of the day. Which isn't to say they're bad people. I can't say that I'm thinking of other people every second of the day. I don't think anyone is. So if you can do something nice for your friends, or send a card, give a gift, ask to hang out, reach out, you never know what someone else is dealing with, how much you might help them, and in helping them you're also helping yourself, because everyone alive right now, it's their first time living, and I don't think anyone's got it right fully. No one is properly living their life completely correctly, because that just doesn't exist. There is no such thing as perfect people, and I think we all do need each other every now and then. And like I was saying, I think it would be very difficult to feel unfulfilled or feeling like you have a lack of purpose if you are helping people, and doing so helping yourself, and like I said earlier, finding a reason to get out of bed in the morning. I think what I've said is, I've been kind of jumping back and forth a bit, but I hope you can follow what I'm saying. I'm kind of new to speaking in front of the camera, so it's hard to sometimes string a bunch of coherent sentences together. Got a helicopter overhead. Wait for that to pass. I also think that, as I was saying, because we get caught up so much, whether it's in bed and you can't sleep because you're overthinking everything you've ever done or said, and regretting decisions you've made, or something you said to someone which you would never say again, but for some reason said at the moment, and you can't contemplate why on earth you would even say that kind of thing or do that kind of thing. Every person is thinking the same thing. The same way that I often tell my friends and try to tell myself, if you're going out and you're worried about how you look, the clothes you're wearing, the way your hair looks, how you're presenting yourself, everyone is doing the same thing. And they're usually a lot more caught up in how they think about and in how they think they're coming across than how you're coming across. Most of that stuff, most of the internal monologue that you have when you meet someone and you're looking at them and analysing what they look like, how they smell, what they're saying, what clothes they're wearing, all that stuff happens subconsciously. I don't think many people are really thinking about it. So just try and give yourself a bit of a break. And if you feel like the world's caving in, you have this sense of existential doom, which I think can creep up on people around my age, and becomes quite unexpected because your whole life you've been a kid, and suddenly you're thrown into a pack of wolves. Metaphorically speaking, obviously. Just take a step back, because everyone's trying their best. Everyone's just trying to make it to the next day, and I think the more you start to understand that, the more you'll realise that life isn't as scary as it's made out to be. And if you don't have a purpose, it's not the end of the world. You can go out and try and find one, and if you don't find one, that's okay. If you do have one, if you're a Project Mbappe and your dad or your mum made you play football since you were 2 years old, and you know that football is your life and that's your purpose, that's the reason you're put on this earth, then that's incredible. But to the people that feel like they don't have that, it's okay. There's no real need to stress about it, because we're all in the same boat. And like I said, it's everyone's first time here, and no one really knows what they're doing, so you'll be fine. Circling back to the original point, what is purpose? I think it's hard to put a definition on it. Which I think is good, because it means that your purpose can be whatever you want it to be. If I had to define my purpose, I guess I would say, well, first of all, I need a few minutes to think about it, but if you ask me on the spot, I'd probably just say my purpose is to live a long and busy life of doing lots of things. I'm getting barked at because I think a bone's got trapped somewhere. Yeah. Don't stress, because you don't need to have this purpose. You don't need a thing that defines you. A good example could be like that movie Soul, where a lot of the movie revolves around how the main character feels, or the musician feels that his purpose on earth was to play music, play jazz. And it leads him to some pretty precarious situations by focusing just on that. So I would say try to expand your view as much as possible, because at the end of the day, sorry, I'm mumbling, we don't have that long here. Although it feels like a while, we really don't have a lot of time to live in comparison to the whole history of the earth. So I would say spend as much time doing stuff that you know will make you feel better in the long run, because living a life full of regrets, I don't think is a very happy life. And if you're sitting and you're 90 years old in a rocking chair, my deepest fear, at least, is thinking or knowing that I could have done more with my life when I had the chance. So I guess that's a bit of a dark note to end on. I don't want to instill fear in anyone watching. That is quite dark. But just try and live life to the fullest. I think that's the main underlying message of this talk. And remember that it's everyone's first time here. Again, none of us really know what we're doing, so if you don't have a purpose, that's okay. If you do have a purpose, that's okay. Good for you. But don't get caught up in the semantics of it and thinking you need something to define you, because you don't. Just try and be kind to everyone. Even the people that you think might have done you wrong or don't deserve it. There's never really any harm in being kind to someone. Be forgiving of yourself. Don't get caught up in your past. What's happened has happened, you can't change it. And if you can't do something about it, then why worry? Worrying isn't going to do anything. Try to be present. Like I said, worrying about the past won't do anything. Worrying about the future won't do anything. All you have is the present. It's the moment you're sitting in right now, which feels so small because it's just a small moment. Just you sitting at a table, at a desk, or you're listening to this, walking somewhere, at the gym, or going to sleep, or whatever, wherever you might be watching this. It feels like a small moment, like a kind of a frame of your movie. If your life was a movie, it feels like just one frame of that movie. But the potential you have in just this moment to do the things that you could do or want to do are essentially infinite. So although this seems like such a small moment, it has big potential than I think people really think about. And yeah, don't stress. Guess that's the final message. I'm kind of new to this, so if anyone's out there in the YouTube portal or the YouTube wormhole and you enjoy this kind of talking content, then let me know. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, as the YouTubers say. And I'm definitely getting, yeah, I need to go. Shush. So, yeah, bye.